Namaste, my familia. Today we are going to explore the mind, that egotistical, controlling, sometimes negative, often judgmental voice in our head that has represented our identity and who we are from the moment we were born. And then I come along and tell you that you're not just that voice in your head, you're not just that mind, you're actually the collective consciousness of your body, spirit, and mind. Meaning that those parts of you, the spirit and the body, actually have intelligence, right? They're not just some parts of you. Like the spirit is not just some esoteric concept, and your body is not just this body of cells that is operating, but it actually has intelligence to it. And moving beyond this solitude of consciousness of our mind to a collective consciousness of our body, spirit, and mind operating together is not something that we can logically understand. It is not something that the logical mind can comprehend. It also does not represent something that the mind wants to accept. The mind is perfectly happy being the dictator, the one in charge, the one that makes every decision, because its job from day one when you're born is to keep you alive, right? It doesn't relinquish control to others to accomplish that goal of keeping you alive. No, it makes logical decisions based on its framework that it understands, the logical construct that your mind has that says, this is true, this is right, that is wrong. And if I navigate according to those rules, the logical construct of my mind, the mind believes it can pilot us through this life and keep us alive as long as possible. But that logical construct is limiting. It is too constraining, right? It is keeping us from seeing true possibilities. It's keeping us in a box. And breaking free from that control to the expanded consciousness of our body, spirit, and mind collectively is a much bigger space for us to operate. It is a wider, deeper, and bigger environment for us to explore our purpose and to develop into our true self. Come on, guys, let's turn around this way. So, feels weird though, right? Like that concept of my spirit has a consciousness to it and somehow it is communicating with me, but I'm not listening. So too with the body. I do feel some connection to bodies through sensation, but I never really understood that it had intelligence and that it could actually be giving me direction that I should listen to. And also that it should be listening to the mind and the spirit as well. This is a completely different framework, one that we're not taught when we grow up through society. Definitely in a Western society does not embrace this concept. But when we start to explore the collective consciousness of our body, spirit, and mind operating together, we find that we are actually much more capable than we are just with that limited domain of the mind. So how do we let go of that? Like, how do we actually take that grip that the mind has on us and to lessen it so that the body and spirit can actually participate in this process? Well, it begins not by conquering, but with compassion. You see, even when you meditate, there's this concept that you're supposed to keep your mind quiet, like keep that chatter in your head to a minimum. And that brings us into a position of judgment, right? We're judging ourselves for not being able to keep the mind quiet. And we try to force that. We try to conquer the mind into submission. But what we find in that process is that we're just spending all our time telling ourselves to be quiet. And we're telling ourselves that we're not good at meditating because we can't keep our voice quiet. Well, an alternative approach to that is to embrace this with empathy, with compassion, realizing that the mind has no other choice, right? It's not trying to do us harm. Its intent is not wrong. It can't help itself. It is a chatterbox. And so instead of judging our mind and saying, hey, be quiet, or, stop trying to control me so much, we can approach this from a perspective of empathy and say, I understand. That's just the way you are. Now, I don't choose to listen to you. I don't choose to follow those thoughts. When I have a chatterbox mind during meditation, I acknowledge the thought that it is generating. I go, okay, I understand. And you think that I should be thinking about my shopping list right now instead of, being quiet and focusing on meditation. But I'm not going to follow that thought. I'm going to let it be and let it fly away without embracing it and going into pursuing more thoughts about my shopping list or whatever it is that's coming into my meditation practice. So that approach of compassion and love, to say, I understand, that's how you are. I'm not going to embrace it. I'm not going to put energy into it, but I'm also not going to judge it. This brings the mind into a domain where it can be free to be itself, but you shift your consciousness from following the logical thoughts of your mind and everything it comes up with, the good and the crazy, and allows you to shift into more appreciation for the participation of the body and the spirit. And these are topics for a separate video of how to turn up the volume on those so that you can better listen. But we're talking now about taking that mind and lessening its grip, letting it have a participating role. Because if you try to squash the mind and push it aside, it's just going to fight. It's just going to see that as you putting yourself at risk, and its job is to keep you alive, and it's not going to have anything to do with that. So when we allow the mind to be how it is, but we choose at the same time not to follow its every whim, we actually open ourselves up to be more accepting. And that is when we begin to listen, because that is when we are allowing the mind to be but one voice in the conversation, but not the only voice in the conversation. And that is when other messages can come in from the divine. That's when we start to hear about opportunity. That's when we start to listen to changes that we've known we need to make in our life a long time ago, but we haven't. Come on, guys. And instead of just letting those be whims or things we probably should do or thought we should get to at some point, and we can now allow them to be our passions, to take chances, new directions, open new doors, stop following the same patterns that have repeated themselves in our lives over and over again, resulting in the same situation, and we just think that we're not good at something. In reality, it's not that we're inferior, it's not that we are incapable, it's just that we're not operating as our true self. We're not operating as the full embodiment of our true potential. And that is why our purpose might be a little bit out of reach. Not really sure what our purpose is, and that purpose seems a little unattainable. Well, of course it's unattainable. You're not operating as your full self. But with your embodiment of your true self, your full expression of your body, spirit, and mind operating as a collective consciousness, you are capable of so much more. You are so much more powerful than you are today, and you will be able to accomplish your hopes and dreams. And in the process, be happy, right? No matter what you accomplish or don't accomplish, be happy in the moment, because it's not about accomplishing your purpose. It's about pursuing it, about getting in sync with your true self and putting energy into accomplishing your purpose and pursuing it. That is where true happiness comes from. Happiness comes from the abundance in your life of that which makes you happy and giving it away, right? That is the lesson of happiness, is being able to understand what truly makes us happy and giving that to others so that they too can enjoy that same bliss that we do. Sound good? All right. Still beautiful here. All right, I'm Darby, and we'll talk soon.